Good afternoon. My name is Fred Wickling.
And I'm Victor.
This is Victor. And today we're recording Look Up, See the Difference. And this is our first recording. And so basically, what I want to tell people that we started this podcast because it's our 50th year anniversary in learning positive thinking. And so what I have combined my learnings from Jim Rohn, the motivational speaker. 50 years ago I met him and it really changed my life. And he told me to read two books. He told me to read Think and Go Rich and The Greatest Salesman in the World. And since then I have become a certified instructor for the Napoleon Hill Foundation as a result of Think and Go Rich. And over the last 50 years I've used that to help me with my investments and with my successes and just having a positive outlook on life. And so in addition to that, we're going to be talking about positive mental attitude that I learned. We're going to be talking about DISC personalities. I'm also a certified instructor, and that's to get to know yourself a little better, or a lot better. And just turning over to Victor here. Victor, just jumping in. You've been with me how long talking about DISC now? How long have you learned about DISC?
I'd say off and on, like at least 2 years now, 2.5, 3 years.
2 or 3 years? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for me, I'm really passionate about it, and I really want people to know themselves. Has it helped you at all?
Incorporating is hard for me, but like I definitely see the benefit in it. I just don't. I need to be more on top of it, and really learn how to utilize it in my day to day.
Okay.
I think that's where I'm failing right now.
Okay. Well, the thing is, the reason why we do this segment is to get people to learn DISC as a language, and it's really about pattern recognition. So we'll get into more of that, but. In starting this segment, and every segment I start, I want to talk about a quote that I have from Charles Tremendous Jones. And Charles Tremendous Jones says, everything is going to be the same for you 5 years from now, except the books you read and the people you meet. And I want to be that change for you 5 years from now. I want to talk to you about books to read. And a lot of people don't read books anymore, but they can listen to the audio. And so that's that. So what I want to do in starting every segment, and we're not going to stand up, but we're just going to sit down and do this, is the look-up exercise. And I really feel, and I don't know if Victor's been doing this, but for myself, this has made a big difference in my life, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But have you been doing a look-up exercise?
Yeah, the last 3 days I have been, actually.
Have you?
I got the little shake plate, standing on it, arms up, and Nicole's like, "What are you doing?" But,
Yeah. Well, you know what? Over the years and thinking about success and thinking about what I've learned, and 3 times in my lifetime, looking up, somebody told me look up, and it made a big difference to me. I used to long jump at San Jose State, and for the longest I would jump 23 feet, but I couldn't go any farther than that. And then one day, this guy said, I see you, and you look at the board, but instead of looking at the board, look up at a tree. And keep your eye on the tree and look up, and then jump. And I ran and jumped and did that, and I literally went 1.5 feet further. And that really made a difference.
Instead of looking at the spot you wanted to go to,
Yeah.
you were just...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going, that's a trip. Looking up versus looking down. I never connected the dots, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then years later, so I ran track in the 70s, so this is 72, 73 when I learned about that. So in 93, in the 90s, Anthony Robbins came on, and he had a firewalk experience where you literally walk on hot coals.
Okay.
And he works with you all night, but one of the things that he said is, when you walk on the coals, don't look down, look up. And I'm going, wow, that's deep.
Mm-hmm.
So that night, I also got to thinking, I came back from the fire walk, literally walked on hot coals, and I'm going, man, that's just power of mind. How does that work? To digest that, right? And then it dawned on me because I also remembered listening to a Christian radio station where this minister said that God said to Moses that you have to win this war. And he said one of the strangest things in the world, he said, you got to keep your hands up. You look it up, it says Exodus 17:11. It says, Moses told his sons, keep my hands up. And literally he won the war by doing that. And so learning DISC, and deep people like to win. That's what I learned. And I'm going, that's what winners do all the time. As soon as you win something, automatically, have you ever won something, you just did that automatically? Have you ever done that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Well, so, one of the things I'm learning, the older I get, I stand on my head and do yoga exercises, and I believe in reversing things, right? So if you're not winning, then why don't we start to pretend to win and start having our hands up and look up and see the difference? And so that's why this segment is called Look Up, See the Difference. So you can see a difference in your life by looking up. And if I can get people to look up more, and by listening to the things that I put between your mind, your ears, the question is, what do you do? Do you read a day? Do you listen to the news? So one of the things that Jim Rohn had said, if you want to be successful, you got to read 20 minutes a day.
Okay.
So in this segment, we talk about reading 20 minutes a day, something good and positive, something towards your goal. I also talk about a segment, learning how to meditate, and work harder on yourself than you do on your job. I see you pulling out. Do you have some questions for me?
No, I'm taking notes.
Okay. Yeah, so one of the major keys listening to Jim Rohn that changed my life was I didn't realize I was negative. I did not realize I was negative, and most people don't realize I was negative. I finished San Jose State, and I had a major and a minor. Major was economics, minor was black studies. And when you read those things about the economics and what happens in the world, then you start getting depressed because, it's, you work hard, you have to work 30 years to pay for a mortgage, and it seemed like the system was against you. Yeah. The system seemed like it was against me. And most people feel that the system is against them. And quite frankly, I thought the system was against me until I met Jim Rohn. And he says, is your glass half full or half empty? And I'm going, wow. And then he had me read these two books, Think and Grow Rich and The Greatest Salesman in the World. And because of this segment, I have pulled these books back out, and I have started rekindling myself and realized I haven't done this. And so every night, every day, I've been reading the first scroll. And I suggest everybody pick up this book. But, if you pick up the book and you want to just get a jump start, the story is powerful. The story is very powerful. And you said you just finished reading the book? Tell me what you thought about the book.
I thought it was great, honestly. It's very engaging, and I thought it was very positive, and that I actually do want to try them and see how to incorporate it, because it seems like a really good thing to have in your life. And I didn't hear about it until you told me about this, actually, so
okay.
I literally just finished it today.
Okay, good. Well, there's one thing that I want you to help you and everybody, and my friend talked about, I don't know what he said, but eliminate the word try. Yeah, don't try to read the scrolls, do it.
Read
this
the
is
scrolls, incorporate them.
And one of the things that I had in the segment before that we never edited is, but Jim Rohn said, and in Think and Grow Rich, it says you got to have desire. So you got to have desire, but then the second thing is you have to have discipline.
Yeah.
And the first thing is attitude, and that's I learned to change my attitude. Then you have desire, and then you have discipline. And Napoleon Hill says, whatever the mind of man can conceive and achieve, it can achieve. And so that's why I'm bringing these principles for us, because it's worked in my life, and we forget these things.
So
And-
you said you're working on the first scroll. Like, so what are you doing in particular that is the work that you're doing for this first scroll?
Okay, well, good. The first scroll and all the scrolls, what people don't realize, this is a 10-month program.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the scroll says, very brilliant, this is the most powerful book that I've had where it really works on your unconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
It says, when you wake up in the morning, read the scroll number 1 in silent. Then after you've partaken your midday meal, read the scroll in silent. And most importantly, it says, when you're getting ready to retire, when you're getting ready to go to bed, read the scroll out loud. Okay? And now, and it works on your unconscious mind. And then just think about it. You sleep, and you read this thing out loud, and the first thing you wake up in the morning, you read it again. Wow, you got nothing but powerful thoughts. So this is major habit changing. And the goal of this Lookup podcast is that we're going to be going over every scroll. So today is just the introduction.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the thing is, and one of the key things that I learned when I started this, 21 days. If you do this 21 days, it becomes a habit. But he tells you here to do it 30 days. And so I've redone it, and it's amazing, because when you start doing this, I mean, I'm on super speed. I'm taking care of things. I'm focused.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I've got a lot to do. I've got to do this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I've got some online courses I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And
You also do like seminars and stuff too, right?
seminars on DISC, I want to promote that. I do DISC seminars. DISC is one of the most amazing things that I've learned. And I didn't learn that till I was 55 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned more about myself, and I'm excited because we're going to be talking about this podcast. But if anybody wants to right now, you can just go to Fred Wickling there, fredwickling.com, and look what DISC is about, and even get in touch with me. I love to talk about DISC. But DISC is to know yourself, how you communicate, what your communication style is. I had been married to my wife 25 years,
Mm-hmm.
and once I learned this, it's like, wow. So yeah, it's getting to know yourself, and we're going to be talking about that.
So with just by like, so DISC, you talk about like getting to know your wife and stuff like that. But like, how did it help you, like say before you knew it and now that you've had practice in it, you know it, you've taught it, like before, like how would you explain DISC to yourself when you first started out?
Okay, when I first started out,
Like when you're just like, somebody's like, man, there's something else you need to hear about this, or like, you know, the guy came to your college and was like, if you want to be successful, pay attention to these people, you know, like, and then they said, this guy Fred really knows what he's talking about.
yeah, I don't know what you're referring to there, but I'm just, a lot of thoughts come to me because you had a lot of questions.
Yeah.
But we all have a blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
We all have a makeup. And the best way to describe it is, you know, you have 4 different personality types.
Yeah.
And there's patterns that we do over and over. We do the same thing over and over. We say things, we react the same way. And I never knew that. I never knew what my patterns was.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I was always a leader. I was the team captain to the track team.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I always wanted to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't.
You just had a drive.
Yeah, I had a drive, and I don't want to mess around. You know, just no nonsense. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, people always joke around. They go, "I can never tell if you're serious or joking." I'm always serious, even though I'm joking, but I'm serious.
In a joking way.
Yeah, but no, I'm goal oriented, success oriented, and these techniques will help you do that. So back to DISC,
Mm-hmm.
it's the first time, have you ever taken an X-ray? I'm gonna give you a good example of what this did for me.
Okay.
You know, my daughter right now is having a baby. She's pregnant with a baby, and we did the ultrasound.
Okay.
And literally, when you go to ultrasound, you see a picture of the baby in the stomach. What DISC is for me is seeing my communication patterns in writing. We took the DISC assessment, 24 questions, and I get a 50-page report on how I communicate. I'm a high D, I'm a high I, I'm a high S, and I have no C. D's are drivers, they're inspirational persons, they're supportive people. The C is cautious. I have no cautious.
You just go.
Yeah, my wife is all cautious. She doesn't have any other trait. So once you learn this, it's like the guy from Nike. What does he say? Do it now. He's a D-type person. I learned something as soon as I learned this. D people like to say bottom line. And I was in a situation. Bottom line. And I remember somebody all the time would say, I go into the office, knock on doors when I sold mortgages. Okay, what's the bottom line? What's the bottom line? What's the bottom line? I'm going, this guy, he's just stuck on the bottom line. But now I understand.
He was D, high D.
High D. And so this is how I communicate.
That's how he operates. That's how he's wired.
That's wired. Yeah, you said that. How are you wired? That's what DISC is. AC/DC, you know? What kind of wires, you know? And we all wired, and DISC explains how you're wired. And so that was the most fascinating thing. So now what's really amazing is I could meet somebody and I know they're wired. I sell real estate. And interesting enough, Victor, is that every husband and wife have most of the time 90% opposite personality styles. So me as a realtor, the old way, 25 years of telling people what I think as a D, not realizing I'd probably, connect with the I person, but lose the S and lose the C person. Because I wasn't concerned about the details.
Yeah.
And I learned that. One of the big things that I learned is that D people ask what questions, I people ask who questions, S people ask how questions, and C people ask why questions. I could never figure it out where my wife always says, why? I would say, Mary and John are getting a divorce. And she'd say, why? And to me, it's like, who cares? I mean, they're getting a divorce. It's just, so that's what DISC learned. So I learned more about myself through DISC. And those are the things we're going to talk about. But so the key that I'm telling people right now is that, you can go to my website, fredwickland.com, and there's a free assessment. There's a free assessment there, and do the assessment. And it used to connect, so I know who's checking in, and I get the email. And they eliminate that capture function, which is no problem because people can still do that. But figure out what it is, and so again, look up, see the difference. That's looking up, seeing something that's a major difference.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So I don't know, any idea what kind of time we're at? We're 18 minutes in this. So we want to keep this segment to about 22 minutes. We can go a little over since it's our first segment. And we are using our podcast application. So,
I'm also interested in all this material you brought over here. So you showed us the Think and Grow Rich, the greatest salesman in the world. What's this other stuff?
Okay. As a certified instructor for the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and Napoleon Hill Foundation is a gentleman in the 1930s that wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich. He also wrote another book. It's called The Laws of Success. He's got a lot of books out. And there's a foundation, and what happened in about 2005, I had accomplished all my goals and just rolling. And I said, I want to see if the Napoleon Hill Foundation has courses, because I read the book. And so that's when the websites just started coming out. And literally, I went on there and they said they had a certification to become a disc instructor. And I said, wow, I want to do that. And so this is the manual that I got in about 2005. And I like to tell stories, serendipitous stories. So I told you I was doing extremely well. So for anybody that knows about Lake Las Vegas, it's away from the Strip, and I bought a lot of condos down there. And I just rolled in doing real estate, and I had a friend there. His name was Gene Norstrup. And Gene knew I had all these condos, and he said, Fred, you know, do you mind if my friend uses one of your condos? And I go, no, I don't have a problem if you use one of my condos. You know, be welcome. I mean, they sit vacant. And so this guy would use my condo several times, and I never met him. So when I went to the Napoleon Hill Foundation website, when I saw that disc certification class, James Spooner was one of the instructors. And I'm going, wow. And I mentioned to you that the quote that I mentioned to you, you know, 5 years from now, everything is going to be the same except the books you read and the people you meet. And that Charles Tremendous Jones was the motivational speaker that was at my certification. And I got a good chance to meet with him and talk to him the last couple of years of his life. So that was really powerful. And then this other book right here, Adventures in Achievement, this is the course that I bought from Jim Rohn. And reluctantly, I bought the course. Back then it was like $500. And they said, well, if you want to be successful, you know, listen to Jim Rohn. I'm going, well, if I gave him $500, he's going to be successful. And I'm going to be out $500.
Yeah.
And needless to say, they kind of forced me. I bought the course, and that's the best thing that I ever did. It changed the way I thought from positive to negative. And one of the things that I did is listen to his tapes, and you know, what I want you to do is start listening to these segments and change slowly. It's a gradual thing, but you know, going from negative to positive. So so do you have any more questions regarding that? So that's basically what this podcast is about. That's what the book's about. I also wrote a book called Look Up, See the Difference. And on the way over here, I did something that I haven't done in a long time. And these segments are really doing this. So my book, Look Up, See the Difference, you can get on Amazon and you can get the audio. I have the audio on my phone. And so today I started listening to it. So one of the big things that I want to leave with this segment and let people know, and we'll talk about the story that we did on the last segment, we'll finish with that story, is that, you know, literally we have acres of diamonds in our mind here. And we need to learn how to mind our minds and learn about our three minds. And first of all, before I go, do you know about the three minds we have? Do you know how many minds do you think you have?
Conscious, subconscious. That's as far as I know.
Yeah, we got the conscious mind, we got the subconscious mind, and we got the unconscious mind.
Okay.
And we need to learn how to use that, and through meditations, we do that. But I got sidetracked because what was I talking about before we did that?
Acres of diamonds.
Yeah, acres of diamonds. Okay, acres of diamonds. So we have acres of diamonds, and through Think and Go Rich, through The Greatest Salesman in the World, and many other books and tapes. Listen to Jim Rohn. They're free. You can go to YouTube, and you did that, right? You go to YouTube? Okay. So the story with Acres and Diamonds really changed my life when I heard about it. And, you know, you can buy the book online. You can listen to the audio. But it's based on a true story. And the true story was that in the early 1800s, in Africa somewhere, there was this farmer, and this farmer, he had everything. He had the best farm. You know, the farm was dialed in. He had the trees, the fruits, the orchards, the animals, you know, the meat. He had a stream running through his property. He had everything. But again, like most of us, we're not satisfied. We always want more, right?
Yeah.
And he heard that in the continent of Africa, you know, there's diamonds and people can get really, really rich. You know, he had everything, but he really wanted to get rich. And so he had everything, and he got bored. So one day he decided to sell the farm, and he sold the farm, and all the money he had, he decided to go looking for diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
But the story has it he spent 5 years looking for diamonds, and he never found diamonds. And the story has it the reason why is because he really didn't know what diamonds looked like. He was looking for the sparklies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, a diamond in the rough, and I always joke around, I tell people, I'm a diamond in the rough, you're a diamond in the rough. But once we start meditating and learning about the things that we talk about in this book, you start, making cuts, and you have different facets, and you start sparkling.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
That's a good way to put it.
yeah, yeah. So this man, he didn't find any diamonds, ran out of money, sold the farm, and got despondent. And the story has it he committed suicide.
Because he lost everything.
He lost everything. Well, meanwhile, back at the ranch, at the farm, the guy that bought it, he found these things, and it's funny, I did that the last time too. He
Mm-hmm.
found these things that sparkle, big things, look at the sparkle on my hand,
Mm-hmm.
They look like this. And he didn't know what they were, but he literally had acres of those on his farm that he bought from the guy that committed suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't know what that was, but, he liked it, and he didn't know about geology, so he put it, on the fire mantle. And so one day his friend came to visit him, and he said, "What is that you got on your mantle?" And he goes, "I don't know, man, but we got acres of this stuff down here." And he goes, "Well, why don't we go to a geologist, because it looks like a fancy kind of rock.
Mm-hmm.
And they're big too." And so they went to a geologist, and the geologist says, "This is a diamond in the rough. If you cut this, it's going to sparkle, and these things are gigantic." And the story has it, the crown jewels for the king of England and the queen of England came from this diamond mine. And that's the story
From
has
the farm.
From the farm.
Mhm.
From the farm, yeah. So now, a story within a story, Norman Russell Conwell was a preacher in Philadelphia, probably the 20s, the 30s, and he had these young kids that said, "Father, can you mentor me? We want to learn English, we want to read, and can you teach us?" And he got to thinking, "Yeah, I can do that." But then the friend came with all his buddies, and he goes, "Oh, wow, I really need to, create a school."
Mm-hmm.
So Norman Russell Conwell literally went around the United States, and he preached acres of diamonds. And every time he finished the preaching, he got money, donations, for what is now called Temple University in Philadelphia. And so that's a story within a story, but it was so profound, it had such a profound effect on me, that I didn't realize that I had acres of diamonds in me.
Mm-hmm.
And I started mining. And one of the things, Victor, that you and I are doing, I call myself the old bull and you're the young bull.
Mm-hmm.
And with our two minds together, and this is what we call master mining.
Yeah.
We can put these techniques into a system,
Mm-hmm.
teach people so they can learn how to do that, and they can become successful. Because what we don't have here is people don't read as much, but they like podcasts and videos. And if we can create enough podcasts where people can do that, which you're learning AI right now, if we can use AI and teach that with Think and Go Rich. So that's my story for Acres and Diamonds, and we ran 28 minutes, so it's a long segment. But in concluding this segment, do you have anything to say? What do you want to conclude? Oh, I love it. We're going to end all segments looking up, and I encourage everybody, and this is, I don't know if you can do this. When you do this, Victor, do you do this in the mirror?
I haven't, but maybe
Okay,
that's the next step.
Do this in front of the mirror. Look up and tell yourself, you're going to feel better. And one more thing I'm going to teach you, and then teach you this. Do this before you do this. Do this. Rub your hands. Rub your hands.
Warm it up.
Warm it up.
Friction.
That creates energy.
Mm.
And you need to know that when you create that energy, and then when you think you have enough energy, then you capture the energy in the ball of your fist, and then you look up.
Ooh.
Okay?
Oh.
I didn't
Oh.
tell you. Oh, woo.
Now you're supercharged.
Okay? All right. So look up, see the difference in recording.
All right.
That was a good, powerful ending. Yeah, I never told you that one, huh? No. That's the secret. That's the secret sauce. Yeah.
You just threw it in there.
Yeah,
You threw it in there.
no, that's how I do that. And the other thing I didn't do
Mm-hmm.
is when I do that, when I meditate,
Mm.
when you lay down, put both on your hand, on your eyes. That's energy creating energy.
Write this stuff down. And get my.
So that's good for our first podcast.
That was good. Now we gotta watch it. See how it goes.
So what do I do now? It says Mark Clip Mike updating 44%.
Our other podcasts are really good too, though. I think. Did you feel like it was? But
I said a lot of you knows. I
Oh,
I critique myself. I don't know if I did a lot of you knows here. Probably not. I was more.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Well, you know what? It's
just how you talk. It's how you know.
Yeah,
you
well,
do it.
yeah, but it's when you're a speaker.
Yeah, you wanna.
So you know
When you notice it.
it's recording still. Holy moly! I thought it stopped.